When coaching, one of the healthiest things that we can do is hold people accountable. But what does that mean? Most managers will think accountability is telling somebody what to do and then asking them if they did it. Accountability, we also want employees to bestow upon themselves, to have them own personal accountability, meaning they're accountable not only to themselves, but to the organization, the team, the department, the area they're being coached to. Now, what you're looking at is our 4-step process we teach from our progress coaching training system. And this is our conversation model piece. And first, before we implement our 4-step process, we have to sit down with an employee and build awareness. So let's say we're coaching someone with a negative attitude. We can't just start coaching and holding them accountable. We first have to build awareness. And one of the healthiest things we can do is to ask people permission, such as, Bob, would you mind if I shared with you a couple perspectives where I think you have an opportunity to integrate a little bit more effectively into the team? And once you get approval, you can start making him aware of the opportunity to improve, such as, Bob, one of the things I notice in our staff meeting and some of our interactions, there are times that you seem a little bit arduous, I would even say angry, and not even approachable. And I'm not sure you're aware of that, but I owe it to you to be upfront with you and honest. But more importantly, I'd love to spend some time with you going forward. Now, the goal of an awareness conversation is not to win an argument, not to win them over, not to convince them, but to just plant a seed. They'll decide if it grows. And then ultimately is to build awareness. And then second is to establish a relationship. Notice at the end when I said, maybe we should spend a little bit of time, together going forward. Now, I get the question all the time. Do you announce to your employees you're coaching them? No, you don't really have to. You can just let the conversation take care of itself. So what I would do at the end is I might say, Bob, why don't we do this? Every week, why don't we get together and just share with me an example of where you felt like you really integrated into the team optimistically, energetically, openly, and maybe another time where you felt like there was a discord, or maybe you felt angry or arduous, or you felt like you weren't really integrating well. Notice what I just did. I didn't even use the word attitude, but I gave him a learning project. And so when we use a learning project to build accountability, I typically subscribe to the fact that when you use a learning project, go from one end of the spectrum to the other. For example, give me a positive and give me a not so positive. Let's take handling an angry customer. You could ask an employee to come in with an example of where they successfully handled an angry customer and what did they specifically do to do so, and maybe another time where they felt like they missed the mark and what they might do differently the next time. That covers both ends of the spectrum, success and not so much success. The learning project is the window into the employee's real world. Once they come in, and we encourage you to keep the learning project the same for 8 to 12 weeks. This builds consistency, traction, and it builds visibility to improvement in this thing called progress. Once they bring that in, you're going to have a discussion. And this is where you use all your coaching questions. What are you proud of? What did you do? Why do you think you were successful? What do you think you would do the next time? What have you learned about yourself you're really proud of? And then you can actually gravitate into an activity. Our model teaches it's knowledge or skill. So let's say somebody's handling an angry customer. You might ask that employee, now teach me the steps again, Joanne, of what you're going to specifically do to diffuse an angry customer and ultimately win them over. Or I might say, well, let's play the role of customer service agent and let's both play that role and let's practice the conversation. So the activity, knowledge, have them teach it, skill, have them practice it. Now notice something else I did. When you practice, make sure as a coach you practice as well. Don't just make them practice. Participate. Go first. That will lead to greater participation and ultimately accountability. And at the end of every coaching session, apply the learning project again. And the learning project should be specific to the area you're coaching to. So let's use our present example of handling angry customers more successfully. Every week, a learning project at the end of the coaching session should be applied. such as come in with one example of where you successfully handled an angry customer and what did you specifically do. Again, the word specifically leads to greater quantification and validation of what they did. And maybe another where you felt like you missed an opportunity and what you would do differently the next time, meaning how are you going to own the thing that you didn't have so much success. And the learning project, the bookends of the conversation, build accountability. And where there's accountability, there's more self-awareness. And if you're consistent, you will gain traction, ultimately momentum that leads to this thing called progress. And guess what happens? The employee's ability to be accountable not only to you as a manager, leader, and coach, but to themselves. And that element of accountability is transferable to other areas where they have opportunities to improve. Good luck.